week 3 already.
Yeah. Time flies.
And how many teams would you say are already done?
Ooh,
I would
quite
say
a
2.
few.
Yeah, I would say
And a
like
couple others are on life support.
so. We're actually going to open with that topic because I guess that can be like our first of the settling for 3.
Settling for 3.
So yeah, we need to put like a fancy draft.
Yeah.
Brought to you by DraftKings. But you've already lost you've lost all your money this year. Lose some more.
Yeah. Settle for 3 more bets.
Settle for $3 in your bank account after you're done gambling.
Yeah. Put in this promo code. You get $3 towards your next bet.
And after you lose all your money gambling, you can have 3 of these. But anyway, first down on settling for 3, I guess, if we want to go in that direction. A couple of teams are 0-2, or a handful actually are still 0-2.
Yeah.
And the way I would kind of categorize there's like certain teams that are just like, you could categorize them like, are they done? Or are they finished? The most obvious one, Carolina. I think we can just say not winning the Super Bowl. I think it's pretty safe.
Yeah, right? It's over. It's Jover.
Denver not winning the Super Bowl. Offense is just horrific. It's not just Bo Nix either. Like they don't have any skill players.
Well, I had to go watch a youth football game the other night on Sunday afternoon for my high school coaching job that I have, and so I missed the last half of the noon slate and I missed the first half of the afternoon slate, and so I finally got around to watching the Broncos and the Steelers. Why did Sean Payton kick the ball deep when he had one timeout left?
That was like the worst decision of the entire weekend. And
they got the ball back with 9 seconds left.
Yeah, he's lucky that Nick Sirianni, I think, made not a bigger blunder, but a more high profile blunder because the whole country was watching that game. Like, really, unless you were just like a fantasy football player, no one was watching.
Exactly.
Denver and Pittsburgh. It was gross. Justin Fields was not good in this game.
I was watching to see if Justin would give the game away like he did against the Broncos last year.
He did everything, in my opinion, he did everything he could have to give Denver a chance to win. They just could not capitalize offensively. But yeah, I agree with you. Like, outside of Nick Sirianni doing what he did on not just passing up the early field goal, in my opinion, but really the more boneheaded mistake was actually kicking the field goal when you're up 3.
The other way around.
Like, you're more likely to just give them the longer field anyway. Even if you don't make it, they have to go the length of the field with like no time left is what I would have. And he threw the ball, but not to go into Philly, but Denver, that was a really horrible decision by Sean Payton, in my opinion, because it's like just onside kick it because you're still going to have to get a stop regardless. Even if you don't, but at least you could seal a possession away.
Exactly.
But
yeah, and if you don't get it, you're not going to win anyways. So
I will say this about Bo Nix, though. I do think I am encouraged in the way for him that he is throwing the ball in there. I just think this team is not very well constructed to his skill set yet.
No, that's why trading Jerry Jeudy was a head scratcher to me. That's not what you want to do for your rookie quarterback.
Yeah, Cortland Sutton and like those guys are not really like separators. And I watched a lot of this game, but Greg Dulcich has to play better. I mean, I counted in the fourth quarter. There's simple things, especially for like a guy like Bo Nix, is he's a rhythm passer. So like, in my opinion, like if he can get some easy completions, he's the type of guy that like he gets into a rhythm. He's going to start completing 70% of his passes like he did at Oregon, right? But like I counted in the fourth quarter, Greg Dulcich had like 2 big drops at the beginning of drives and he just stalled their offense. And like that's what watching the Denver offense, and it wasn't just Greg Dulcich. It's like the entire effort. They can't run the ball. They can't start. It's like they put the key in the ignition. They got all the pieces to the car, but nothing's firing because like they got to make a play. And Bo Nix has to be better, but he's still a rookie, and we've seen all the rookie quarterbacks struggle, pretty much that have played. But I'll say that overall, Denver is a team that's 0-2, no shot at Yeah, I would say playoffs because we never know how a team can improve in the second half of a season. I mean, playoffs are very unlikely at this point, but they're not winning the Super Bowl.
Certainly not.
The Giants are definitely not winning the Super Bowl at 0-2.
That was their shot, man. It was all there for them.
Did you see that they're the second team in NFL history to not give up a touchdown and to score 3 touchdowns in a game and lose?
That's unbelievable.
That's a Daniel that's such a Daniel Jones stat to me.
Yeah.
I can't get Daniel Jones. Like, you know, we the Panthers, we brought them up first, but like Bryce Young benched after 18 career starts. This guy's had 65 games. What have we seen from Daniel Jones that makes us go, this guy could be good? Like, when are we going to give up on it?
Tommy DeVito brought much more energy to that team, that organization, that fan base in the 4 weeks he was playing than Daniel Jones has done in the 4 years.
And Daboll, I think, is a good coach. That's the crazy part. Like I
know. Well, as we said in the yearly, the beginning of the year preview, he's going to be the scapegoat, I'm sure.
Yeah, and that's the crazy part is they paid Jones, and I think Daboll is going to get the short end of the stick here.
Yeah, I mean they're both going to be gone next year, regardless. But you know,
I'm gonna plant the seed in your head though.
Bill Belichick?
No, well maybe that could be fun. I'm talking about your team though. If Matt Eberflus has a disappointing season this year, after year 3, that's the coach that I would go get if I'm Chicago.
He was the coach I wanted 2 years ago.
Yep. And then I think he'd be great for like a young quarterback, like with actual talent, not Daniel.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he was the guy I wanted, or not 2-3 years ago, I should say.
Yeah. I'm not, and I also don't think y'all are going to be bad enough where Eberflus does get fired though.
Yeah.
And his defense is playing well to his credit.
Right.
But we're not talking about the Bears. So any other thoughts on the Giants?
No, they are done.
I will say one thing of praise for the Giants. Malik Neighbors is freaking insanely good.
Yeah, he is. At least they have that for them. But how long until he loses his mind?
Yeah, he's already started, and it's like, dude, this is second game.
Buddy, you got 4 years with this.
Yeah. Oof.
He's gonna be asking. He's gonna be asking to get traded. I'd say by the end of next year, by the middle of next year.
Yeah. Tennessee, 2 games where I think they had a real shot, and then Will Levis gave it away.
Have the Texans won the division already?
I mean, actually, yeah, because all 3 teams
they're the only team that have a 2-game lead in the entire league,
and they have a division win in pocket already.
Yeah.
So that's I think that's
congratulations, Houston Texans. You've won the AFC South.
Yeah, and we'll go over all 3 AFC South teams as we group these together. But the Colts, I think we both nailed that. They are not a good team.
They are not good, but they're not. I guess I figured they would start 0-2, but like this is not good at all.
They are incompetent on defense. Like, I think they have players. That's the weird thing. Like, they have some players, but it's like you go into a game against the Packers without Jordan Love, and Malik Willis is the starting quarterback.
Yeah.
That game did not prove to me that Malik Willis is good. All it proved to me is what the hell is Gus Bradley doing? What do you have to do if you're the Colts defensive coordinator in that game? What do you do? What's your main goal?
Just stop the run.
Stop the run. And they did not. They did the opposite.
Yeah, dare Malik Willis to pass the ball.
Green Bay ran it all over them. And
Josh Jacobs had 20 carries before the end of the first half.
Richardson,
when was the last time a Packers running back had 20 carries before the end of the first half?
I didn't see that to me, and we'll go into the Packers like when we do the preview of the game, but like that game, that win was very defining in my opinion. Like they were so impressive because they showed it for the first time in a long time where I was like, wow, they know, like they have different ways to win. It felt like that. I've never seen a Matt LaFleur team look like that. Let's see. So in the Jags.
That's disappointing.
Jags.
You could see the Colts and Titans starting 0-2, but
I think the Jags, are more. They kind of got screwed by their schedule.
But at the same time, They didn't though, because getting getting Deshaun Watson at home. I mean,
That's
that
still
you should win that game.
That's still 2 road. So in their first 3 games, like, they're going to have 2 road games against playoff teams, and they are still hosting a playoff team that we
Yeah.
like. We talked about this with Cleveland.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, if they can just get better quarterback play, like, that team is, like, pound for pound, one of the better teams in the league. And
Yeah.
Jacksonville, to me, had a shot to win that game. They finally woke up in the fourth quarter. It's just like, and this is my problem with like Doug Peterson teams in general, is like they have their years, and it looks like 2022 is that year for the Jags, but in 2017 for the Eagles, where it's like everything clicks, and when it clicks, it looks really good. But I think when you get to these other years, there's like no rhythm offensively. It's like nothing. They can't like. I never feel like a good pace for their offense. It just looks like they're always chasing their tail. They're always behind the chains. They're in 3rd and longs. They're asking Trevor Lawrence to make just insane throws all the time. Like nothing ever looks easy for them. They don't run the ball well. There's a lot to me that could be improved in Jacksonville, but the problem is like they got to improve fast, and their schedule is like, I mean, they get Buffalo this week. They're looking at an 0-3 start most likely.
Yeah.
So that's the AFC South. Like you said, it looks like Houston is in prime position.
On their way.
The last few we've gone over. So the last few are actually playoff teams from last year. The Rams,
ironically, yeah.
I think I'm going to just bake the Rams here as. I mean, this team is just already. This looks like 2022 all over again. They're just losing all their players.
This is going downhill quickly for them.
Yeah, reset year maybe. Like they can establish, maybe get some star power in the draft. I don't know, but it's still early.
Does McVay want to stick around for
a rebuild? Yeah,
a rebuild. Just looking at the NFL has a website, their operations website, football operations website, and they haven't updated this. I'm assuming they kind of update it every year though, but I'm sure the percentages stay the same. When a team drops to 0-3, they have a 14% chance of making the playoffs. So that you're looking at, if you have 7 or 8 0-3 teams after this weekend, you're talking one of them might make the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, the chances of we've always used to say 0-2 was like really
yes.
You rarely see an 0-3 team, but I always think those statistics get a little overstated because bad teams generally start 0-2.
Yes, bad teams generally start. But even for the fact that you have a good team, like you put yourself in that hole early on in the season, things snowball.
And like, for example, like we'll move next to the Ravens. This is a great example. Ravens on paper, like they're the favorites to win the AFC North. They were the best team in the NFL in the regular season last year. But now they're 0-2. Realistically, for them to get a top 4 seed, really to win their division, in most years you got to win 10, 11 games to win your division. So let's give them 10. Let's say they win 10 games this year. So they have to go 10-5 the rest of the way to get. That's asking an NFL team. You have to win 2/3 of your remaining games. That is not an easy task, even for a good team. Like you have to basically be healthy. The rest of Lamar cannot miss any time at this point. Your margin for error is shrunk. Yes. Like that's really what this month of September to me is actually about. It doesn't matter how you look.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter how you look. You're supposed to stack wins at this point.
Stack wins, get ahead of the schedule. Like
because every team has a swoon at some point, whether it hits in October, whether it hits in November, whether it hits in December, but you don't want it to hit in September because now you can't hit the swoon again the rest of the year.
Nope. Yeah, you can't have who always struggle. It was Dallas used to struggle all the time with Romo in December.
Yes.
And it's like
but they'd be like 8-3 going into December.
Yeah. So like in the years they would be good. Yes. Yeah. In the years they were bad, like they would have injuries early in the year. they would make like a little bit of a pace and then like try to hit stride by Thanksgiving, but it's like you're still 500 at that point.
Exactly.
And then Romo always stunk, and like he was always awesome in November, and then they lost.
Yeah, Thanksgiving. He probably holds a lot of passing records on Thanksgiving. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Still,
They used to like. I remember ESPN used to do like segments about Rovember. Like they would try to nickname it. It's like that's like saying like, "Hey, my MLB team is awesome in August." Like
and
then
the other AFC North team that's stuck in, I don't even know if you could say neutral right now, is Cincinnati.
Yeah, and so the Patriots loss is just absolutely killer.
Oh yeah,
you're home against a team that had Jacoby Brissett as your starting quarterback, but they looked really good against the Chiefs. Like they held their own. They should have won the game.
They really should have.
I'm not gonna argue that wasn't pass interference, though. It was.
Yes.
So
it was just like an obvious, like you knew it was coming.
But I can see why Joe Burrow is frustrated. It's like you had the game won. It came down to one penalty, and the Chiefs, like I'm not saying the call was wrong, but it's like the Chiefs always freaking benefit from that kind of crap. Like every time. Just like great teams kind of do a lot of, like the Patriots it used to happen for them too. But yeah, the Bengals are another team. It's like you have to win. And the thing that no one's talking about, we'll kind of flip the script now. These 2-0 teams. And in the AFC North, you have the 2-0 Steelers.
Yeah. What were the odds of the Steelers starting 2-0 and the Ravens and Bengals starting 0-2?
You know, though, like now that I look back on it, it shouldn't have been that big of a surprise because like I predicted them to beat Atlanta week 1.
Yeah.
And like Denver looks like one of the worst teams in the league.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. We'll go into the preview games here in a little bit, but like that's what's going to be very interesting to me is that Steelers Chargers game. Because the Chargers are another 2-0 team where like which team's for real? Because both teams have benefited from just awful schedules in the first 2 games and have looked like physical, like smash mouth football teams that really don't have prolific passing games. Like, but I'm excited to see that game coming up.
What other? Oh, our lovely neighbors to the north and for Green Bay to the west.
Yep, Minnesota. Yep, Minnesota's 2-0. That's another team that kind of surprised us. But looking back, the Giants pretty easy win. But the thing now, what surprised us is the way they beat San Francisco, and they didn't just beat them. Like it wasn't a lucky win. They were the better team in that game.
They were a much better team. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Minnesota's for real. The main question I have with them is like, Sam Darnold, can he keep this up? Because we saw this 3 years ago in Carolina.
Yes. Yeah, that's true.
Carolina started 3-0. Sam Darnold looked awesome, and then it fell apart quickly. And that was like my main actual, like when Justin Jefferson hurt his quad. I was like, is this like the McCaffrey injury for Sam Darnold? Because it's like once Jefferson goes, like, what does this offense look like?
Right.
But thankfully, Justin Jefferson's okay. He'll be back this week. It sounded like it was just like a contusion. So he must have gotten like a helmet hit his quad or something.
Yeah.
Buffalo.
The Seahawks. Oh, the Buffalo. Yes.
Yeah. Buffalo's 2-0. To me, like that's the thing. I just think McDermott's a good coach.
McDermott's a great coach.
And it shouldn't surprise us. Like they went, I think I picked Miami, but I shouldn't have. Like historically, like Buffalo's just going
to pick Miami. And if you remember off the principle that like they have to get him this time, like they have to get him in September, they have to get him in Miami.
And they didn't.
And they couldn't. Yeah.
Yeah. Buffalo has to be feeling good about the AFC East right now. Houston, like we just talked about, they're feeling great.
Yeah.
Like they probably feel like the most comfortable team in the AFC right now. Kansas City, I think we don't have to go too much.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about them.
They're a great team. We fully expect them to be around in January, probably February. New Orleans and Tampa. I want to go into this, and this was a main storyline that we can kind of transition to. Let's do Seattle first, and then we'll talk about New Orleans and Tampa specifically as our last segment. Seattle, what do you make of them? I just think they beat two bad teams.
I think they beat two bad teams too. We were kind of talking in the pre-show, like Minnesota and Seattle. You feel like one of or both of these teams at one point it's going to fall out. It might not for one of them. I don't think both of them are going to last at this point, like as contenders will say.
The thing you have to like if you're a Seahawks fan, though, is that the Rams look like they're just going through a season of attrition where they might not last. And, San Francisco is dealing with their own set of injuries. I mean, we don't know when McCaffrey will be back, and we saw how valuable.
He's out at least 5 weeks, right?
Yeah, he's out at least another month. So that's going to be something to watch because it's like if Seattle can just now. Yeah, Seattle can like maintain. I mean, they get Miami this week, which is a very winnable game. Detroit's going to be tough, but then they get the Giants at home. Like this team realistically could be like 4-1 going into that game against San Francisco. And that San Francisco game's at home. And it's interesting. Seattle might be that team where we're in November and we're going like, this team's not good, but they're 7-3.
Yeah, they have a winning record. They have a pretty comfortable record.
And they might just be benefiting from kind of the way things shake out, which a lot of the NFL is based off.
That happens like that. That's why there's a turnover of 5 to 6 playoff teams every year.
Yeah. And now to finish up, like kind of on the settling for 3. So we went over the 0-2 teams to the 2-0 teams.
The Saints and the Bucks?
Yeah, that was our kind of our third topic.
Yes. I thought we were talking about our friend in Miami.
Oh yeah. So yeah, you're right. My bad. I forgot. So yeah, we'll finish topic number 2. The NFC South. The way I look at this division, the Bucks, I'm not surprised at all.
Yes.
I think they were a good roster.
We underrated them.
I mean, should we have though? I mean, they've won the NFC South like 3 years in a row.
Yes, but I think we were thinking, okay. They won the NFC South with 17 wins in the last 2 years. Somebody has to be 8 or 9 wins this year. Like the Falcons have to get to 10 wins, right?
But in our defense too, is this team winning the Super Bowl?
Oh no.
So it's like the Bucks. We feel like I think we got it right. Where we're like this team. I think I had them winning the South, didn't I? Or did I have the Falcons?
I think you might have had the Falcons. I think you had the Bucks just missing the playoffs.
Yeah, I had the Bucks kind of where they've been.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that's where they will remain. But the thing is, like this division, like with Carolina being as bad as they are, like it. I think this is going to be interesting, and I think it's going to actually come down to them in New Orleans.
Yeah.
New Orleans has actually been the best team in the NFL the first 2 weeks of the season.
By far the best offense right now.
Yeah. And we were wrong on this team. We did not like this team much early. It's still early. But you can't ignore what we've seen. Like, are they number 1 in DVOA right now? I'd imagine so.
Probably.
Yeah, because they beat both of their opponents by like 3 scores. Carolina by like 5 scores.
They are. They have a 91.2% DVOA.
Yeah, I figured they were definitely number 1 after week 1. I was like, it shouldn't have changed much off the Dallas win because they blew Dallas out too. And their offense has been really historically good the first 2 weeks, which is just crazy. But my main question for them is like, is Derek Carr going to keep this up? I ain't buying it. I think the Saints are the biggest fade to me.
Yeah,
I'm not buying
so high.
Okay, so our last topic, and then we want to go into our team previews. What is your take on Tua?
I think Mike McDaniel actually had the best take, although his was, of course, a little bit maybe jaded in the way that he is the head coach of the Dolphins.
Yeah,
but from an outsider's perspective, we're all sitting there. We're all watching Thursday Night Football last week, and we're saying Tua just can't do this anymore. Like it's just not worth it for him. Too many, not even just like slight concussions. I mean, he's gone into the fencing response numerous times on a football field. That is horrifying. I mean, some guys might have that happen once in their career. He's had it happen 3 or 4 times now in the last 2.5 seasons. 2 seasons.
Yep.
To me, and this is where I go into Mike McDaniel, as he said, which I do kind of agree with, I see his point, is none of us can really say for Tua what he should do because of how hard he has worked his whole life to get to this point. And so we can sit there, we can sit on our couches and say, he's got to give it up. We can sit on our phones and tweet, it's over. Tua, think about your life ahead. For Tua, it's a lot more complicated than that.
Yep.
For Tua's family, it's a lot more complicated. I'm sure they're even more split than he is. You know, they're probably worried about his own future, but they also know the amount of blood, sweat, and tears he's put into making this career work for him. And I mean, we have our, Tua has things he has to work on, of course, always. But
and the more cynical side of me is like, I don't want to say cynical, but it's more of just like, this is the real world. This is professional football. And I think Tua is thinking about this. I think the Dolphins are thinking about this. And we don't want to think that this is a factor, but money is definitely a factor.
Money is the factor, yes.
He just signed what? Close to a $300 million contract?
I thought it was I thought it was very similar to Jordan Love's contract.
Yeah, whatever. It was like in the
but it was well over 200. It was 220, I think, or something like that.
More money than like most of us watching this will make in our lifetime combined, basically. And he's like, that is what you call like super generational wealth.
Yeah.
My take on this is, number one, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to tell people like how many concussions can you sustain before you can retire. And and I agree with you that, when he goes on the ground and he does the fencing thing with his hands, like, I can't remember what you called it, but
the fencing response.
Fencing response. When he does that, that is not something we enjoy watching.
It's
obviously.
horrifying.
It's horrifying. But at the same time, like, number one, I'm not a neuroscientist. I'm going to let that, like, that's why hopefully, like, I'm looking at it. If he gets cleared, it's hopefully by an independent team of doctors.
Yeah.
I think the way we need to at least expect this is I think we're probably going to miss Tua for at least half this season, which he's already on IR now.
Yeah.
Does he play again? I think if you had to have an opinion from me, I think he will. But if he doesn't, I'm also not surprised. It's a very boring take, but at the same time, that I'm not here to give you some bullshit like, oh, this is my opinion on something I don't understand necessarily.
Yes.
I think this is it's going to be an interesting thing to watch because, like I said, like the cynical side of me is like, this is a business. And I'm not even saying from like the league's perspective. I'm saying like Tua's thinking that. Like Tua's like, there's money to make that I don't want to retire from. And I don't know if he retired from injury, like what he gets to keep and whatnot. Like, I don't know all of that.
Right.
But like, that's where everything kind of gets cloudy. Going forward though, like this is what we know more. What do the Dolphins look like with Skylar Thompson at quarterback?
I mean, we saw it 2 years ago.
It wasn't great.
It was not good.
But in his defense, though, it was a playoff game in Buffalo.
Yes.
And then I think like was it like 2 regular season games?
Yeah, 2 regular season games towards the end of I think they lost both.
But they weren't playing well anyway with Tua.
Yes, they weren't.
Before that. So part of me thinks that Mike McDaniel will have this team like performing better offensively than expectations. Where the Dolphins have to get better, actually, to me, is just doing the basic things on defense. Like, I think they just let James Cook run up and down the field on Thursday. Mm-hmm. That's, to me, what's going to hold the Dolphins back more than losing. Like, in addition to losing Tua. Tua is obviously the most important player on the team because he's the starting quarterback. But Miami's in trouble. I agree with you. I think I think starting out, like they're lucky to win that Jacksonville game, but
Yeah.
I think let's assume Tua is out a month. They have to win 1 or 2 games. If they're at 1-5, 1-6, they're done.
Yeah.
Which is very possible because even with a backup quarterback, you can't assume that they're going to go 500. This team hasn't been playing like a above 500 team.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not like they're a team that they're already 6-0 or 7-1, and you're like, hey, if you can just get us to 10-4, you know.
I think, and to finish up this subject though, is we definitely hope whatever ends up happening that Tua has a healthy outcome, whether he plays or not,
no matter what.
Yep. So let's go into the more fun conversation. We have football. We get Thursday night football. Concussions are not fun. I hate talking about
it. And then we follow up with Patriots Jets.
Yeah, Nick Castellanos hits a home run. What was it like?
It was Tom Brenneman.
Oh yeah. But was it like Sunday? Like I saw Sunday, like they announced that the attempted assassination at Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
And somebody's like, "Oh, I got to put in a bet right now." And they're like, "What bet?" It's like a Castellanos home run. He's like every time something crazy happens, he always hits a home run.
Castellanos is always there.
Yeah. It's like nuclear war is about to start. And it's like, oh crap, I gotta get a bet in.
Castellanos is gonna enter the cycle.
Yeah. Anyway, going to Patriots Jets this week. So I don't know about you, but I don't think the Jets looked all that great against Tennessee.
No.
I think Levis kind of
I'd hope that they would look.
Yeah. Rodgers still, to me, isn't moving the way I'd want him to. I think he played well, but not what I'm still used to. And the thing about this matchup in particular is this is one the Jets have struggled with, even since the Patriots have been bad. Like last year, the Patriots still clean their clock. Now, obviously, Rodgers is a big upgrade over Zach Wilson. The Jets seemingly have a better roster than the Patriots. The total line for this game is the Jets by a touchdown. So I think this is going to be an ugly game. I think the Patriots will make this ugly, and that's their goal. But I think the Jets win 20-16. That's kind of the way I see this game.
Yeah, I had the Jets winning 20-10. I'm not going to predict a Rodgers breakout because I've already done that twice now.
Yeah.
And neither one came to fruition. Now that I say that, I'm sure he'll probably throw for 3 or 4 touchdowns tomorrow and make me eat crow. But, it's one of those things that, and like we'll talk about with, I'm sure, other teams moving forward, you can't keep predicting something that it's just there's no sign of it happening anytime soon.
Yeah.
And it could, but the Patriots do play pretty sound defense, even without their 2 best defensive players right now. Barmore and of course Judon they got rid of. But I think the Patriots will keep it somewhat close, but they just, if you're talking about quarterbacks you want to take, obviously even Rodgers hobbled, you'll take him over Jacoby Brissett. So yeah, 20-10 Jets.
Yeah. I think it'll be a pretty ugly game. Interesting the way the league did the Thursday night games with Amazon. Like, so we get 2 AFC East games back-to-back weeks.
Oh, yeah.
And let me look. Maybe there's like a pattern. Is like the Thursday night games, are they doing them like?
I don't think so because I think the Bears play the Commanders on Thursday night again.
Yeah, we get Cowboys Giants, which is a division game. Bucks Falcons division. They did that for a long time. It stops week 7. We get Broncos Saints, so like it's not the full season. But actually, the first year they did Thursday night throughout the season, they actually did division.
You're right. Yeah, I do remember that, like around 2014 or something like that.
Yeah, because we opened that year. We played the Vikings on Thursday night.
Yeah, and the Bears. There was a time the Bears played Green Bay on Thursday night, like 2 or maybe 3 years in a row.
like 17 or 16 and 17 or something
16
like
and
that.
17. And of course, well, 15 was the Thanksgiving game.
Yep. Yeah, it could have been like 3 straight seasons.
Technically, yeah.
Yeah.
3 straight years in Lambeau on a Thursday.
No 1 o'clock games for y'all. So yeah,
No. Never.
next game, this is a quarterback matchup we've been looking forward to. Daniel Jones against Deshaun Watson in Cleveland. Who is going to make more boneheaded mistakes?
This is an ACC rematch.
That is true. That is true. I don't know if Daniel Jones played against.
I think that he would have missed him. Yeah.
He was more of the Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah,
I think he played.
He might have played him Deshaun's last year.
Yeah, and back when the ACC was divided, Duke didn't play Clemson every year anyway.
That's true.
Duke was in the Coastal and Clemson was in the Atlantic. So I don't know if they ever actually matched. I don't know. Daniel Jones played Clemson one time, but that was against Trevor, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, we talked about this. I think this game is going to be another ugly win for Cleveland. I just think what they're going to do is they're going to kind of run the ball, play defense.
Yeah, take the ball out of Deshaun's hand.
Yeah, because Deshaun didn't play well last week either. They still don't play with any rhythm. Like it's so he holds the ball so long and like is looking for like playground ball, and it's like I don't think that's the team here. Like this team excelled with Joe Flacco just running the offense.
Yeah,
and they're missing that aspect with Deshaun. And he's still trying to play like it's 2017 Deshaun Watson. It's like, no, that was 6 years ago. You got to start playing a little bit more in rhythm. Did you know that Daniel Jones actually has more touchdown passes than Deshaun Watson?
Really?
He has 2. Deshaun Watson has 1. That being said, I think Cleveland's just going to, I think, beat him defensively. Going to be another ugly NFL game. We've had a lot of those.
Yeah. I think Cleveland also wins. They're getting 6.5. I think they win 23-16. I'll
go 20-14. I'm starting to lean like on the unders. I think there's something to the league's offense is not being great.
Did you see the stat of how many passing touchdowns? This would have been great for last week.
60% of what it was like 3 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like I think it like peaked during COVID, like 2020.
Yes.
The league offenses were just on fire. But this year, like out, and what's funny is like Derek Carr, who's the other stud?
Probably
Baker Mayfield, like, and who's the other one? Oh, Sam Darnold. Those are like the 3 best quarterbacks in the league right now.
This is the Twilight Zone year.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, the offense has just been bad. But I think to me, Cleveland actually that kind of bodes well for them. I think like if the league is going to be ugly as a whole, Cleveland plays a lot of ugly football really well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll take the Browns here as well. I'll go 20-14 though. So I actually would have the Giants covering, I believe. Next game, pretty interesting matchup.
Yeah.
You go first on this one. I'm curious to see what you're going to say about this one.
Well, all right. So I'm not saying this, and I'm not making. It's going to sound like I'm making a comparison, and technically I am, but I'm not making.
That's what we do.
It's an apples to oranges comparison. It's I don't know why. When I just thought about this, the Saints having a chance to get to 3-0 this week. I don't know why the first thought of my mind went back to 2009 when they were 2-0. Nobody knew how good the Saints were going to be that year. Not saying the Saints are that Saints team. I know they're not. Because I know their quarterback is not the quarterback that they had then, and their head coach is not the same head coach. But that, like the game when they beat the Jets, I remember that was like a late afternoon. Like I think maybe Buck and Aikman went to it. And
when Rex Ryan was there.
Yeah, Rex Ryan, Mark Sanchez
year.
would have been in his third game ever.
Yeah.
I don't know, kind of, and it's a green team they're playing.
Yeah.
But I believe. Oh no! I was gonna say I thought Burkhart and Brady were gone, but I believe it's Joe Davis and Greg Olsen. But that's still Fox's second biggest crew. The Saints might be, if they, I don't know how good the Eagles are, but the Saints might be for real. This is a game that, this is a prove me game. Like I know, like going into Dallas was a very impressive one, but how do you follow that win up?
Yeah,
if you follow that up with a total fart, then okay, you're just like who we thought you were. But if you follow this game up and you beat a playoff team from last year, no matter how they look right now, then hey, maybe you are pretty good.
Yep. I agree with you when you said this is a prove me game, because the outcome of this game, I'm already accepting I'm going to be wrong about one of these teams. Because my take after week 1 and going into the preseason was Philly, to me, were like one of the most overrated teams. That was my take after week 1. I don't think Jalen Hurts played very well, and he was really not great last week. I think 2022 is starting to look like an anomaly for Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
I think he's fine, but I don't think he is like
he's a top 15 quarterback.
And when things break down and they stop what he does really well and they make him play a different style of game, things really break. And Dennis Allen, he'll have a plan. I'm confident of that. Where I would be wrong on the Saints is like if they start 3-0 and let's say if they beat the Eagles and they beat them good, they'd prove me wrong as well, because Derek Carr would, start to make us actually think, wow, he might do something special this year.
Mm-hmm.
Which, when do we say that about Derek Carr?
Not since 2016.
Yeah, 2016, he had a shot at doing that, and he broke his leg, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
So either way, I'm going to be wrong, and I'm going to be right on this game. If I'm going to lay one prediction for this, my gut tells me that New Orleans is going to wipe them off the floor, and I think what's going to happen is people are going to be calling for Sirianni's job after this week.
Oh,
yeah. I think the Eagles, to me, are a very fragile team right now, but I could be wrong. Like maybe they come in and they turn a corner. There's too many red flags to me, like about the Eagles. Like they feel like such a paper tiger, and even going back to 2022, they felt like they were even kind of a paper tiger then, but they never got tested. Like that team had the easiest road to the Super Bowl ever. Mm-hmm. Like their schedule was a joke. And like during the regular season, like everything kind of broke their way. Like Brady and the Bucs were just imploding. Like Brady finally aged. Rodgers and the Packers were having a bad year.
Yep.
Like the Vikings were
terrible.
They were a terrible 13-win team. They win 13 games at the end.
They won 13-4 that year with the negative point differential.
Yeah. The 49ers were on their third starter at that point. A rookie quarterback who we think is good, but still a rookie. And he got hurt in the
And he got hurt in the first quarter.
Yeah.
The first drive of the game, I want to say. And they played Daniel Jones in the divisional playoffs.
The defending Super Bowl champions imploded at the beginning of the year because they had all those injuries with the Rams. Kyler Murray got hurt, and the Cardinals were horrible. They were a playoff team the year before. Like everything broke their way.
I knew they weren't that good that year when the 3-win Bears had them within a touchdown late into the fourth quarter.
But everyone, every offseason, it's Howie Roseman this, Howie Roseman that. I think he's
that was a great Philly accent, actually. Howie from Delco.
Howie, you're just jealous because Howie always gets the players you want. And the Eagles fans are always great. Like if you go on X, where it's like a star player that was a star player from like 2019 becomes available. I wonder why he's available. He must be really good, right? Well, we need to sign him. like, and they just think they think they're entitled to all the best players all the time. Or like if a player like Deebo Samuel like requests a trade like in the offseason or Brandon Ayuk this year, well, send them a fourth. Like that's how it works. The only team that can realistically put together a super team and like be like and be realistic is San Francisco. They actually get away with that. I don't know how, but they do. Like Trent Williams just signs in free agency for them.
Yeah.
Like, no big deal. Like one of the best left tackles the last 15 years goes. But like the Eagles to me have always been a paper tiger team. And the way this game feels is I agree with you. I feel like the Saints are going to be like, no, this is real. We just kicked Dallas's ass in front of a national TV audience. We're going to do it again with Philly. And I agree with you. I think this is like, I'm going to take the Saints by 2 touchdowns. I'm going to go 34-20. And like I said, I think this is the game. Like the big headline of the next day is Nick Sirianni on the hot seat.
I'm going to take the Saints too, but I have a feeling it's going to be a more exciting game. I think they're going to be in for a little bit more of a dogfight because I think the Eagles will be clawing. No pun intended.
But they're a mentally soft team, dude. Like look back at last year with that Bucs playoff game.
I think it's going to be 27-24. I think the Saints kick a game-winning field goal, and the Superdome is going nuts.
Philly, to me, is the type of team, they get punched in the mouth again, they'll fall. And the other thing, too, is their best player. Outside, like Saquon Barkley might be their best player, but A.J. Brown is probably the best player on the team. He won't be there. So that's the other thing is like, how's this offense going to function? It did last week against the Falcons defense that I don't think is that great. So I think, we both agree the Saints win. We both think different margins.
Yes.
Next game, 2-0. This is a great game, actually. Texans, Vikings.
Yeah.
I think the Texans, we can be short on them. They're playing exactly how we thought they would. They're pretty good on both sides of the ball. They're well coached.
They're probably, outside of the 49ers, the best constructed roster in football.
It's crazy to say that. 2 years ago, this was one of the worst teams in football.
Yeah. But even then, they had a couple guys. Like Stingley was on that team, I want to say, 2 years ago. Petrie was on that team. Of course, you would have had.
Remember when
Collins would have been on that team?
Remember when everybody villainized Nick Caserio and said Deshaun Watson deserved better?
Yeah, I know, right?
Crazy how stuff works.
It is.
Just saying, like I get tons of stuff wrong all the time, so I'm not like criticizing those that had that opinion, but things change and things change fast in the NFL, and always be careful when you criticize somebody too much. And the Texans are a great example of that. I think they've been outstanding so far. Their defense was actually very impressive to me last week.
Danielle Hunter's return to Minnesota.
Yep. Yeah.
I have a feeling he's going to make his presence known.
Yeah. I think the Texans present a buzzsaw opportunity for the Vikings, but at the same time, assuming Justin Jefferson's quad injury really is just a very minor thing that doesn't affect them, I think the Vikings are sneaky good. Like I like the way they've looked at beating the 49ers is not a bad, like that's not a small feat that early in the year. I was very impressed. Kevin O'Connell has really, to me, established himself as a very good coach.
Yeah.
I think this being in Minnesota also plays a very, very big advantage for the Vikings. Being at home, the Texans, I don't think have a fan base that travels all that great.
Nope.
It'll be a big advantage for them. I'm going to take an upset. I'm going to take the Vikings. I'm going to take them in a close game, 24-21. I think they win. I think both teams play very well, and this will be one of the best games of the weekend.
I think I do think the Vikings are a lot better than I definitely thought they were going to be.
Oh yeah, same here. I thought they would be terrible.
Yeah. In saying that, I think the hype train comes a little off the tracks this week. I'm gonna take the Texans by 10.
Oh,
I'm gonna have them win 31-21.
and if they do that, they're the best team in the NFL. Like,
well, I think that they're trying to stake their claim right now, and I think the Vikings are a feel-good story. The Texans are not. They're not a feel-good story. They're just a good team. They're a very good team.
Yeah, and I don't disagree. That could happen. That's definitely in the range of outcomes here. If they do that, I think that's going to be like the Chiefs are on notice. There's a team in the AFC that could challenge them.
Yeah,
because to me, going into Minneapolis and winning a game like that by 10 against a team that's buzzing like the Vikings are, like that would be a very big win.
Yeah.
Even for as good of a team as Houston is, that's not going to be, as somebody that has known the Vikings and had been a fan of 13-win teams, going in there can still be a buzzsaw against even not that great teams. Like, I think 2021, remember when we went in there and Jefferson had like 200 yards?
Oh, yes.
Like, I could see it being that kind of game where Jefferson just is a great player, and great players make big time plays and big time games kind of guy. I think I could see that happening, but should be a great one. I'm looking forward to this.
His 90-something yard touchdown the other day, that was so reminiscent of
Bernard Berrian,
the Bernard Berrian touchdown.
Yeah, I thought about you when I saw that because I was like, it
literally played out the exact same way because the 49ers, like, they had a goal to go, 4 straight downs, couldn't convert. The very next play, that was a 99-yard touchdown in 2008. This was 97, but it was like when I watched it, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah,
I know what that feels like.
Christy laughed at me because actually when he did that, I was like, that's still not the longest play in Vikings history.
Yeah.
And she's like, and I was like, Bernard Berrian, 2008, and I think like Scott Hansen or something, like one of the announcers, like it's the second longest or third longest play in Vikings. She just went like,
oh.
But yeah, and I'm like, it played out the same way too.
Like, here, watch the video.
Yeah, it's like, here's this fuzzy 2008 highlight. This game will be quick on.
Yeah.
I don't see any scenario. The Broncos, I think this will be a suffocating game where Tampa Bay doesn't even have to play all that great. This will be one of the worst games of the weekend in terms of margin of victory. I'm going to go Bucks 28-14. I'm going to go 14-point win.
Okay, let me readjust what I was going to say.
I think the Broncos I think maybe they find a little bit of rhythm in the second half, but it'll feel like the game's over pretty quick.
Yeah, I'll say 27-10 Bucks.
Yeah, I gotta see more from the past game and from Denver. I gotta see.
I don't know, and see, that's the thing. I don't know if you're going to see it just yet. It's gonna take a long time.
Yeah. I think Nix has the it factor. Just hopefully his confidence doesn't just erode.
Yeah.
But like they gotta just. I think he has the he's making the reads and making the throws. Just hasn't been there. You can tell he's under duress a lot, but this matchup's just going to be too much. And the Bucks are for real. I think Bucks are 3-0. So we both agree on that. This game has like a caveat to it. Does Jordan Love start? Because if he does, I think Green Bay's a lot better than the Titans. Like a 10-point game type of thing. If Malik Willis starts, I think this is a complete toss-up because then it's kind of on the football gods. Like, does Will Levis give the Packers the game? Or is this Malik Willis comes down to earth and it gives the Titans the game? Like, I think whose quarterback is worse in this game? It's hard to predict because it's up to like who throws the most untimely interception.
Right.
This game is so hard to forecast because we just don't know the status of the quarterback. I think Love's going to miss another week. So I'm going to take Tennessee 17-14.
I'm sticking with my idea that I think Matt LaFleur is one of the best coaches in football.
I actually agree with you now. But I still recognize that Malik Willis is our starting quarterback.
Yeah.
So.
I I think the Titans are going to lose another close game. I think it's going to be 23-20 Green Bay.
If your scenario plays out, so are you saying Love starts or are you saying Love sits?
No, I'm assuming that even if Love starts, I don't know how mobile he's going to be, so I don't know how much better that helps Green Bay right now.
Yeah,
Because
still
he's
going to be on
pretty
Josh
ginger.
And they lost Marshawn Lloyd. He's on IR now.
So like if Love plays, there might be 3 or 4 more points in the difference. Like maybe Green Bay wins by a touchdown rather than, but unless Green Bay gets like a defensive score, that could also happen, as it's happened to Will Levis. Yeah. So,
he literally gave.
I'm going to go. Yeah. Regardless, I think Green Bay wins by at least 3, and depending on who's the quarterback, could be more. Yeah. I think the Titans do have. I think they are putting together. Like their defense is much improved.
Yeah.
Than they were a year ago. They have a really stout defensive line, and they've done a lot to help that secondary too. Their linebackers aren't great, so that's going to be.
Yeah.
If the first level can get blocked, then Green Bay is going to pick up a lot of yards in the ground game. Yeah. But that Simmons and Sweat are. I mean, that's a scary defensive tackle.
And that's going to be much tougher. It's going to be a much tougher test than what Indianapolis presented on defense.
Yes.
That's where I think Malik Willis has like a come to Jesus kind of game, where it's a reality check.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't underestimate, like, does Will Levis throw it a pick six?
Can't you see though, like Malik Willis does like the bare minimum, and in the locker room, they give him the gay ball anyways. Like, can't you see like the Fox
revenge
show? You know, yeah. Like you know, like when they do the OT on Fox or whatever, and they're like, oh, and a very happy Packers locker room, and Matt LaFleur tosses the ball to Malik Willis, and he drops it. You know,
it was kind of funny. Like, so Cheesehead TV like did an own on Taylor Lewan, because like Taylor Lewan was quoted as saying like, yeah, he just doesn't know football. And they were like, yeah, in your face. I'm like, dude, he threw for like 100 yards. Like, yeah. Are we really like saying Malik Willis won the, like Josh Jacobs was awesome. The Packers defense was like, let's not pretend Malik Willis was like awesome out there. Like, he didn't screw it up. And hey, that's great. You're a backup quarterback. That's what,
especially this year, apparently.
LaFleur, but if you watch that Colts game, like the way LaFleur handled the second half, he was basically just like, just shorten the game. Just let's get it to the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that game ended quick.
Yeah. Well, and it should have ended quicker, but Narvison, it's like the Packers, it's like they had a chance to go up 16 and he misses a field goal. So the Colts get the ball.
That might be an issue again.
He's been solid though. He just missed an untimely.
He missed one against Philly though too, didn't he?
He missed. Yeah, but he's been like, trust me, like the Packers like kicking game. It's like if you hit 75% of your field goals, and I'm like,
we'll take it.
We'll take it. Yeah, we're fine. Yeah. And like meanwhile, Ravens fans are like, Justin Tucker's missing his 58 yarders. And I'm like, welcome to reality. Yeah. Like. Well, you have to actually you actually have to convert on third down when you're at the opponent's 40-yard line. Yeah. But sure. I agree with you. I think a lot will come down. If Love plays, I'll take the Packers. If he doesn't, I'll take the Titans. This game, Caleb has to play better.
I think he did play better on Sunday.
I think he did too. I think he was much better. I don't think the final results were what you wanted.
Yes.
I think he's going to have
his process was much. His process actually wasn't that bad against Tennessee. It was just he was very inaccurate, like uncharacteristically inaccurate.
He just looks like a rookie quarterback to me, and that's fine.
He's a rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
The offensive line is what has to be better. The offensive line. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it will be. I was agreeing with you.
Yeah, well, the fact that the three teams that lead the league, or at the bottom of the league, I might say, in rushing yards allowed per game right now, are the next 3 teams on the Bears schedule. So, They have to get a running game going. I think they need to work more going downhill than going, side to side. Going laterally is the word I wanted. I want to see them use Roschon Johnson more. He's a guy, he's a bruising back. He's going to pick up yards. They're not going up against DeForest Buckner. That's going to be a help. But I mean, there was so many times that they could not pick up a stunt on Sunday night. It was they didn't give Caleb a chance, I don't think. And yes, he had 2 bad interceptions, but I think I think the interceptions too were him being frustrated, a rookie. He'd never been hit that much.
Welcome to the NFL.
And actually, as the newspaper writers here in Chicago said, it's not a welcome to the NFL. It's a welcome to the Bears.
Yeah.
This is what it's like being a Bears quarterback.
The one thing I actually believe, I think everybody's talking about, like, Caleb Williams has to be better. I agree, but I expect him to be better. He's a rookie. And I think I think people's expectations were a little high going into the season, but now I think people need to also keep their expectations high now because he's gotten some reps. What has to improve, in my opinion, though, is y'all's run game.
Oh, the run game is terrible, right?
It's awful, and this is the team. Take some pressure off of Caleb Williams.
It's actually like this is the same offensive line that was. I mean, like, I know Justin got a lot of free yards himself by scrambling, but they still had some decent success running the ball with their running backs last year. Yeah. So that's the thing. I don't know if it's because of the new scheme that there's still like a lot of. Excuse me. Sorry.
Well, Shane Waldron the run game was fine in Seattle last year.
It worked in Seattle. So it's all, I really don't know. Like, Darnell Wright looks nowhere near as well as he played last year. No, not even close to as good as he played.
DeAndre Swift
was a bad signing in the first place. I don't know why that.
Swift is 38th out of 47 running backs, according to PFF. So he's not exactly like lighting up the world.
No, God, no. And that's why I want them to go with Roschon Johnson more often. I want them to use Khalil Herbert more often.
I would
actually running backs. Why is Travis Homer playing so much?
I actually had to take, like, the more I watched, I was like, I actually think your best back might be Khalil Herbert. Like, the more I watched, but I just think
if you have Mercedes Lewis, use him as your third offensive tackle
and and the thing is, like, when that Packers game, I could apply to this situation. We could also apply it to the Broncos. And I guess we could also, like, the Commanders as well. But he does bring a running portion that the other two don't. And I could have even said the same thing for Bryce Young before he got benched. It's amazing what a good running game will do for a young quarterback. Because, like, Malik Willis was not asked to go out and be C.J. Stroud or go out and be Patrick Mahomes or, like, one of the league's best quarterbacks, right? He was asked, to throw the ball 15 to 20 times in good situations. You're always going to be ahead of the chains. Don't make a mistake. And I'm not saying that's what Caleb Williams will be forever limited to, but that's a starting point. Like, but right now, like, Caleb Williams is asked to basically carry this offense, and he can't do it because he's a rookie. Like, we can't expect that from him. That's ridiculous. And Patrick Mahomes has always had, like, decent rushing attacks for the most part, and he still does until Pacheco got hurt. We'll see what happens there. That's what I'm watching for. I expect Caleb will continue to improve as a passer throughout the season, just like every rookie should.
Yeah,
I think it's more about this Colts team. You can run on them.
Yeah.
If Swift can't get it done, get him out. Get him out. Put Herbert, put Roschon in. It doesn't matter. Just take some pressure off the kid.
Yeah.
Same thing, like I said, for Denver. Carolina should have done it, but they're already too stupid to.
Yeah.
They have already ruined Bryce Young. It's week 2 of this season. They've already screwed that up. But overall, they take a lesson from LaFleur and some other we used to see with Belichick all the time. Like, game management, player management. Know the team you have.
Yeah.
Like, instead of running your stuff, like take your players and then build a plan around that.
Yeah, as Stacey King, the Bulls color announcer, always says, KYP, know your personnel.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, I'm with you. And like good coaching that I got to see that from the Bears on Sunday.
Yeah. It felt very much, I texted you the next day.
Yeah.
It felt very much like the Giants game in 2010. Where you were always a play away. And see, that's the crazy thing about that. Like the Texans are a very good team. The Bears had a chance to beat them on the last drive of the game.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, y'all are right there. Your defense is really good.
The defense is the defense is very good. Now they need to get better in the first half.
Yeah.
Be like the second half, they've been lights out. That's the other thing. You can't get behind on the scoreboard early because then you're going to be forced to throw. So we need to see like that defense that's suffocating in the second half. We need to see that kind of spread out a little bit more.
Yeah.
The good thing for the Bears right now is, and the good thing for Caleb, the good thing for this offense, really, their next 3 teams that they play are all winless. Actually, I think the next 4 teams they play are winless.
It's a benefit of that last place schedule.
The benefit of the last place schedule and the benefit of getting a cold seam without DeForest Buckner right now. The benefit of getting the Rams without Nakua or now Kupp is going to be injured.
Stack wins.
Stack wins now.
Let Caleb come into his own.
Let Caleb come into his own. And I hope that hopefully, assuming they take care of business, because talent-wise, they are more talented than nearly every team on the rest of their schedule until they go to Green Bay comes to Chicago.
And that's such a long way away.
It's such a long way away. But like, make it so that game, that's your okay. Here, that's like the time that you can say, the last time we had a big game like this, we totally fell flat on our faces.
Yeah.
Make that like, okay, that's the game we're circling. We need to make sure that we are a much better team by the time we play Green Bay in November.
On the Colts side of things, I think this is a game where Richardson and the Colts, I feel like they're always a play away from winning a game. And there were a lot of missed opportunities. Last week, I feel like AD Mitchell had like 2 really crucial drop passes last week. But the main thing is, like we said, it's like they have to have a way to stop the run as they get into the season. Like that was a brutal, brutal game to watch for them. Like just Green Bay just ran all over them.
And now what are they going to do without Buckner?
This team to me feels like a year away. I don't think they're a very good team.
Might even be more.
Chicago needs to win this game. This is a big game for Chicago, in my opinion. This is a game you have to win. If you don't, you're probably in trouble. Los Angeles, Pittsburgh.
I think the Bears win 20-17.
I agree. I think the Bears win, and I'm going to take them 27-20. I think Caleb has his best game as a pro so far.
Please God. Or there'll be no show next week.
I quit. Yeah. I'll just come on by myself. Well, I think that
Neil will be back in about 6 weeks.
Yeah. One of my favorite games of the week, Chargers, Steelers. I feel like an immovable force. 2 immovable forces are coming at each other. I think the funny thing is like the Steelers are kind of playing that ugly style of football by necessity, and I think the Chargers are doing it because they want to. And to me, I think the Steelers, and really both teams have been they're 2-0, and they've looked like the Chargers look better, but they played garbage teams first 2 weeks. Like the Raiders were horrible week 1. The Panthers are the worst team in the NFL.
The Falcons looked very bad.
Falcons looked bad. Kirk Cousins couldn't move, and TJ Watt was obviously going to take advantage of that. And then you had Denver, who looked horrible as well. So like this is a game where it's like, which one is for real? And the way I look at it is I like both rosters. I think they're both physical. I like both coaches. I like Harbaugh. I like Tomlin. It's just like it's smash mouth football. I can get behind it. And the league is kind of going this direction, which is kind of what I like. That being said, it does to me the tiebreaker is quarterback. I don't think Justin Fields is good.
Yeah.
I think Justin Herbert will make a couple of throws in this game, assuming he's healthy enough to play, which I think he is. I'm going to take the Chargers here, 21-17 on the road.
Very similar to me. I have the Chargers winning 24-20. Yeah, similar to the way you were just talking. They both have played garbage teams to start off, but in playing those garbage teams, the Chargers have looked much better.
Yeah.
And the way they've done the things, similar to Pittsburgh, but they've just been much better at doing it.
The Chargers are playing exactly how we thought they would play.
Yes,
too.
yeah, they are no surprise to us, and I suppose the Steelers are too, in a lot of ways.
The Steelers
that quarterback.
The Steelers, I think, like I would be surprised if they win this game. They'd be proving me wrong because
this would be like one of the bigger wins the Steelers have had in quite some time.
You know what this is shaping up to be for the Steelers?
One of those stupid, crazy games where they Herbert throws an interception on the 10, and then
I'm almost starting to think like the Chargers embarrass them, but it's going to be the type of season where they just beat all the teams they should, and then they get a cut. Like they'll probably beat like the Bengals or something in an upset win.
After this game, Justin Fields is only going to need about 5.5 more games to hit the 51%.
The Steelers are going to win 9 games. Just lock it in. Every year. They're going to get 7 seed, and they'll probably end up the Steelers are definitely going to be the team that plays like Kansas City to open up wild card weekend. Like that's what they feel.
Fields.
And then like the Chiefs win, and they're just like, and the Chiefs win another big playoff game, and we're like,
Justin Fields' stat line would be like 12 of 16.
Yeah.
Like really like efficient in that way, but like only 110 yards.
Yeah, just oh god, it's gross to think about. We'll go quick on this one. Tua is not playing. We already talked about that. We've seen Skylar Thompson before. They're 3,500 miles away. I mean, this is just shaping up. Seattle starts a 3-0. I'm gonna take them by 10 points. Give me 27-17 for Seattle.
Yeah, I think it'll be a little bit higher scoring, but I think in the end, I think maybe Geno might give the Dolphins a couple, maybe possession, an extra possession or two.
The point total is only 41.5.
Yeah,
so 27-17 would be
like
over.
26-23. I think Mike McDonald will be having Skylar Thompson in some fits.
What an annoying game for announcers, because you have Mike McDaniel versus Mike McDonald.
Yeah.
You're
probably thinking for a second, wait, do you mean
which one do I mean? But we both have Seattle, and then we'll have that discussion next week. Like, what do we think of 3-0 Seattle?
Oh Lord Almighty!
I'm going to take
the Raiders gave us a reason to.
I think the Raiders win this game, but it's going to be in.
And they're going to be like, we're 2-1. We're
overtime.
Back. The silver and black.
They win in overtime, 21 to. I guess I should say 24-21. I think the Panthers do indeed look better with Andy Dalton under center. That being said, I think it's a huge mistake to be putting Andy Dalton. Like at the beginning of the season, I thought the main purpose of this year is to find out what you have in Bryce Young. And
they found out already.
They found out, but the thing is, it's like my main issue with this, and we'll just spend go ahead and give your score for this game. I got Raiders 24-21. What did you have?
I have Panthers 24-23.
Okay. My main Raiders takeaway is Brock Bowers is the best tight end in football already. Just write that down now. Number 2 is the whole Bryce Young thing was mismanaged. I get it. Worst quarterback in the league over the first 2 weeks. You have to love this as a Bears fan too, because I mean, y'all are going to get the 33rd pick in the draft.
Yeah,
probably.
we are. Can't wait.
But I'll say this:
my prediction holds, though. Maybe
if you were going to bench him after 2 poor weeks in the regular season, why the hell did he only start 1 preseason game?
Yeah,
like this team is just mismanaged all the time, and I think like the other thing that kind of blew my mind is like look at 2 of the most. We just talked about 2 MVP candidates after 2 weeks. Like obviously they might not end up as MVP candidates, but like 2 of the best quarterbacks in the NFL after 2 weeks are who?
Right now, we said Sam Darnold, and Baker Mayfield, 2 former Panthers.
And who look like complete crap for this organization?
Those 2.
So this team is like, if there's a team that could get relegated, like for, like maybe a CFL team, like give them a shot. It's this team. Like this.
It'd be cool to see the Argonauts in the NFL.
Yeah. The David Tepper, like just the whole. And to me, like everybody's saying Canales made the coach's decision. Like that would, in my opinion, that was not his decision. I think Tepper made that decision, which is crazy because you just invested all of this time and look at the opportunity cost you lost. You lost basically DJ Moore and like 3 top picks essentially.
Yeah.
For
you waited too long to trade Brian Burns.
18 games of Bryce Young, who I get was horrible. But to me, if Andy Dalton comes out and does play well, like it's broken. Like you can't make this good.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's a bad football move long term. I'd rather just, if Bryce Young just continue to struggle, you at least have clarity. Like this ain't it.
Bryce Young should ask for a trade.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But it's like, how can you trade him? You just gave there's going to be sunk cost to this. Like
You're
this is why it's stupid to do this. Like. I would at least like just give him the season. If he's terrible, you at least get the first pick in the draft and you can try again. And then you can trade Bryce Young for a 6th-round pick and then just call it what it is. But to me now, it's like, do we fully know that Bryce Young ain't it? Like we're probably like 80% sure he's not it, but we're not 100% sure. Like I hate the way they've managed this situation through and through. And like I said, if you really like, you didn't see any signs that he was going to suck in training camp, or during the off season, like why didn't you play him in the preseason to get him some live game reps? You didn't do that. Like this whole thing has just been mismanaged from the start. Like the Panthers, I feel bad for their fans. Like I really do. The next game up, San Francisco and LA. I think the Rams are cooked, and I hate to say that because I had them going to the NFC Championship game in the season preview, and I'm already giving up on them. They're just so.
It's not looking good.
They're just so. Their offensive line's decimated. Their skill players are decimated. It won't be long until Stafford has an elbow injury or something.
I know. I was just thinking this. I mean, how many times has that happened?
This is going to be tough. I think San Francisco, especially coming off of a loss,
they're going to be pissed.
I'm taking I'm going to say 34-17. I feel like San Francisco.
They're very similar to it. I was thinking 34-13.
Yeah, I think San Francisco handles them. I feel like a good team like that coming off a loss. I like San Francisco. I think both of us do. Interesting game here.
Yeah.
I've not been impressed by Detroit.
Their defense is much better than I thought they were going. I mean, I know everybody said it was going to be improved. Aiden Hutchinson is turning into
their offense, though, is not.
Their offense is not good. And see here, that this was the problem. They built up a fantastic roster, a great offensive line. They've not the world's greatest weapons, but very good weapons, you might say. And they've done some stuff to help their defense, but they're only going to go as far as their quarterback takes them. And when Jared Goff plays as bad as he did on Sunday, that's what you're going to get.
They should arguably be 0-2. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
It took them a last second like comeback against the Rams.
And the Rams throwing the ball 3 times with 2 minutes to go.
And I want to say, like, the thing that stood out to me about this game in particular is the amount they outgained Tampa Bay basically 2-1. They had nearly 34 minutes of time of possession, and they came away with 16 points. That's like they're gonna kick themselves over this. Like Detroit, to me, like I'm gonna say it because I said it for Philly. I think they're a paper tiger. Like I don't think this team is that. Like I think they're gonna be a playoff team, but slow down on the Super Bowl rhetoric from the national media. I'm not ready to claim that. That being said, I think they should be favored in this game. Arizona was really good last week, but I think Detroit does get a get right game. I'm gonna take the Lions in a weird game because every time I feel like they go to Arizona, I think they always like are in a crazy game. Give me 1 point win. Give me 24-23. I think
that was the same score as my Panthers.
Yeah.
Prediction. I don't know if you heard who I said was winning that game.
You said the Raiders, right?
No, I said the Panthers.
Oh, that would be even worse to me. Yeah, because I went on my Andy Dalton.
I was like, did he hear what I said?
Yeah. Well, because I've been like, that's why I wanted to do the settling for 3, but we didn't do it because you didn't want to talk about it.
I didn't want to talk about the Panthers.
Yeah.
No.
So we did anyway during the Panthers.
Anyways.
But that, by the way, is the last time we will spend more than 10 seconds.
They bring me. I work with this coach, and he was reading a book over the summer, and he found a great term that he'll say to us at practice sometimes. It's awesome. Consolidated sadness. That's what the Panthers are. Consolidated sadness. But anyways, no. Yeah, the Lions have a lot to prove right now. The Cardinals were wildly impressive on Sunday, despite obviously the Rams are going in a different direction right now, but that was a very, very nice win for them.
I think it's understated with Detroit that they started both of their first 2 games were at home, so this is the first time they have to leave Ford Field this season.
Yes, and they will bring a lot of fans to Arizona, I'm sure.
Half of them live out there.
Yes, half of them live out there. It's like when the Bears play Arizona in November, it's going to be 60% Bears fans there.
Yep.
But anyways, I do think the Lions do get back on top, but I wonder what might happen if they don't win this weekend. I think they're going to win 28-24. I think the offense does look a little bit more like last year, we might say. I think they're going to be able to run the ball. But
the Rams weren't able to.
They weren't. But I just wonder if the Cardinals do pull it off, like, which is certainly not out of the realm of possibilities. Like, are the dark thoughts going to start creeping in for Detroit?
Yeah, I think, and we should have the conversation not only about Detroit if they lose this game, but I think
that would be our settling for 3. The fact that the Lions are 1-2 next week.
You could also argue about the Cardinals because it's like, last year, the beginning of last year, you couldn't really even get a gauge. I mean, you're starting Josh Dobbs.
Yeah.
For the first, it was like 10 weeks of the season.
Yeah.
And then they ended up like trading him to, what was it, Minnesota, I think.
Minnesota.
So
that was
Josh.
Weird.
Yeah, that was when Josh Dobbs started the season. Like he started training camp on the Browns and it was on the Cardinals. It was a weird year for Josh Dobbs, but they were not a good team, obviously. And like Gannon was just taking over. They still had a lot of holes in their roster, but like they've obviously improved. Marvin Harrison Jr. had his breakout game.
That was
he was outstanding. That might be a team I think that we need to start paying attention to. This is kind of an interesting game for them too, but Detroit's going to be the main story because they were in the NFC title game last year. But I think the key to this game is Jared Goff has to start playing better. I don't think he's played all that great in the first couple weeks.
He usually does it when you give him a big contract.
And he gave them that game. I mean, like, he turned the ball over twice. But like I said, what was crazy is they outgained Tampa 2-1 and lost. Like, how do you let that happen? Like, that's crazy. At home too.
Oof.
This game, Baltimore, Dallas. I'm gonna just ask you a simple question.
Yeah.
Is this a must-win game for Baltimore?
Yes.
I agree. And Dallas, like, to me, doesn't usually, under McCarthy, they have not been a team that lays back-to-back eggs. They usually respond well after losses. I think Baltimore's in real trouble.
But on the other side, you have arguably an even better coach, or at the very least, at the same.
Yeah.
I mean, they both have one Super Bowl, but
I mean, these are both good coaches. I've been a McCarthy defender for a long time. I don't like people that say he's a bad coach don't know what they're talking about.
Oh gosh, no.
But the key for me, I've just been so underwhelmed by Baltimore's offensive front. Like, their offensive line has just not been solid. They have the idea right where, like, they want to get Henry the ball, where they want to establish the run. But the one thing that's kind of frustrated me a little bit about watching their offense, what's the most dynamic part of Baltimore's offense?
Should be their running game.
Specifically,
Lamar
Jackson.
Yeah.
And I think, like, in the first 3 quarters of last week, I was watching that game closely because I have him in, like, 2 different fantasy leagues. I might need to grab another beer. He had 1 carry.
He had a little dry.
He had 1 carry in the first 3 quarters. That's like saying, hey, we're only going to throw 1 pass over 20 yards to Randy Moss. Like, Lamar Jackson is arguably the most dynamic player with the ball in his hand in the entire league. He's so efficient. Like, the offense is better when he takes. I get you want to reserve his touches, right? You want to keep him healthy, but you can't have that where, like, you substitute Lamar's touches for Derrick Henry's. We had Aaron Schatz on here. Derrick Henry's not necessarily an efficient player. What he does is he grinds you away. Derrick Henry is good when you have a lead, like they did. But I think they left so much efficiency on the table last week. Lamar Jackson's got to get involved on the ground. And the funny thing is they got back in that Kansas City game because Lamar got involved on the ground.
Yep.
And that's going to have to happen this week. My main concern is I think Parsons is going to be just a game wrecker. And that's why I'm taking Dallas here in a close game, 27-24. And I think the main difference, I think Parsons is going to make some type of crazy play for the Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean,
tough game though. This is really hard to pick.
It's a very tough game to pick. Both of these teams I had going to the conference championship, and after Sunday, either they're both going to be 1-2 or one of them's going to be 0-3.
Yeah. It's hard to imagine. I agree with you though. It's hard to imagine John Harbaugh and a healthy Lamar Jackson starting 0-3.
Yeah.
That Raiders game, like, I just can't believe they lost it. Like,
I'm going to pick the Ravens in overtime.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be like 33-30. It's going to be, I think Tony's going to be, oh, Jim.
This game to me is a game of pretenders, though. I don't buy either one of these teams winning the Super Bowl.
Not at this rate.
I think they have some star players, and they'll be in the Well,
Dallas
Baltimore
disappointed me big time last week. I mean, the Saints obviously impressed me, but I mean, I really thought after the way they beat Cleveland, like, this was going to be a game that I think I picked them to win by 10 or something like that.
Let me go. I'm going to look at something for Dallas real fast because I made that point about coming off of losses specifically. Let me go to schedule here so, last year they lost against Green Bay in the wild card. So they followed up week 1 of this year, had a huge win, right? So last year they had a horrible loss at Arizona last year. Following week, they beat New England 38-3. They also lost to Philly on the road last year. Come back and they win 49-17 over the Giants. They did have back-to-back losses, but they ended up beating Detroit week 17 and then blew out Washington week 18. And their back-to-back losses were against Buffalo and Miami, 2 playoff teams. So I think at least in 23, they responded pretty well coming off of losses. Same can be said for 2022 under McCarthy.
Yep.
And in 2021, they were pretty consistent
that year too, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, they've been a very consistent ball club with, in terms of consistent, like coming off of a loss. And I think going back to Green Bay, I always used to say that was like Green Bay was always good coming off a loss. McCarthy has I think a very good like management style where I don't think a team like hangs on a loss too much. If they lose to Baltimore, I think it's just because Lamar Jackson makes plays. But I for some reason I just don't trust the Ravens. Everybody made like such a big thing out of Monken last year and like him becoming the OC. Even last year, Lamar won MVP. But like sometimes I watch the Ravens and like I want more from them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I like their pass game specifically. It just like something just feels.
They feel like the team that should have like the video game stats sometimes.
Yeah. Well, their quarterback is that good. Like I watched this dude play. He's unbelievable. But like their downfield passing game doesn't exist. Like Zay Flowers is good, but he's not a over the middle type player, right? He's a yards after catch on a screen like pass kind of guy. They are missing just something, and when they take the ball out of his hands where he can't scramble and get those 15-20 yard chunk plays here and there, that's the best part of their offense. Like sometimes like especially like on drives where you fall behind in games or late in the game, like put the damn ball in Lamar Jackson's hands and let him make a guy miss.
Yeah.
And that frustrated me because like they'll try to throw it over the middle to Likely or Andrews or Zay Flower and like it doesn't work. And he also gets the ball knocked down a lot. But if the Ravens win this game, it's because Lamar Jackson. Because he'll be the best player on the field. But will they let him win the game for them? Is my main question. Or are they going to try to force Derrick Henry again? So you have the Ravens winning in overtime, and I have the Cowboys winning by a field goal. So
it's a coin flip game, really.
Yep. This game, I think Kansas City's starting 3-0.
Oh yeah, I mean, first Sunday night game in Atlanta in 5 years.
Spagnuolo has to be licking his chops.
Oh God, yeah. I think I'm just gonna say 30-17.
Kirk Cousins was moving better, but not at the rate that I want him to. He's still not like super mobile inside the pocket, and I just think that they're gonna overwhelm Atlanta offensively, their defense is gonna overwhelm the Falcons' offense.
Yeah, and there's no way Cousins can play catch up with.
Yeah. Mahomes in that pass game, like they'll get it done. Like best.
And they didn't have a good game against Cincinnati. It would be weird to see them have. I know they had a bad stretch last year, but I couldn't see them having 2 bad games in a row.
Yeah,
I think they'll be a lot better.
Yeah, Chiefs offense should be good as long as Mahomes is healthy. I am starting Bowers over him. Travis Kelce in fantasy. So this will be the game Travis Kelce has like 10 catches and 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. So
I could see it.
Yeah. Cause like I finally said, you know what? I'm starting Bowers over Kelce. And that's
Did you see on Sunday Night Football when like they were like promoting this game last week and they were Mike Tirico was like, I was about to say Mike Tice. Mike Tirico was like, but everybody wants to know, and then they showed DeAndre Swift and then like the split screen and Darrell Taylor from the Bears, like the back of their jerseys. Will Taylor Swift be there?
Taylor Swift in Atlanta. That'd be interesting. Yeah. Is she gonna be in the box with Arthur Blank?
Is she gonna be up? She can't get her Chick-fil-A on a Sunday.
Yeah. Oh wow. But I think Kansas City 27 to I would say 27-20. I think it'll be a touchdown game, but I'm taking the Chiefs. And you gave your score already.
Yes.
30-17, I think.
30-17, yeah.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I just hear the baby.
Oh, you're good. We're getting there. I think we're on the Monday night game now.
We have a double head. This is what I was calling for last week.
Yeah, so Jacksonville must-win game. We both agree on that.
Yeah.
And then Buffalo is in a position where, like, I mean, the 3-0 possibly, that they could have kind of a commanding lead in the AFC East at this point. It'd be looking really good for them with, Miami dealing with health problems.
The Jets probably get to 2-1 tomorrow, but yeah, it would be looking good for the Bills.
Yeah, and I like desperate teams. I like picking desperate teams. However, when I watch Jacksonville, it's so freaking ugly. I hate saying this as a Trevor Lawrence defender and believer. It's like watching the 2020 Eagles. Like, I'm blaming Doug Peterson more for it, but like everything's off. It's that offense. It's like, why is everything hard? Like every throw Trevor's making is like a high degree of difficulty.
Right.
They're trying to do too much. It's like and like they're the most static operation where like there's never any motion. There's never any easy throws for Trevor to make. Meanwhile, I watch the Dolphins and like half the team is going side by side and they're like Tyreek Hill's like lined up in the backfield and then lines up in the slot. You don't see that with Jacksonville.
Nope.
I just hate Jacksonville's offense right now. I can't see them going up to Buffalo and putting up points against Sean McDermott. And I don't necessarily love the defensive personnel, but I like Sean McDermott enough. And they did look very impressive against the Dolphins last week. I'm going to take Buffalo 34-20. I think Buffalo's a lot better than Jacksonville right now.
I'm similar numbers, but a good bit closer game. I'm going to take Buffalo 30-24.
Okay.
Yeah, similar to, I think Jacksonville's going to try to play with their hair on fire.
Have to.
Because, they have to. Otherwise, they're going to be staring up at like I predicted Houston to win. So if they lose, they're 3 games behind Houston in the schedule, and it's not even October yet, or in the standings, I should say. Yep. But I think, the Bills are. I thought this was going to be a transition year for the Bills. I still picked them to win like 9 games, but they're playing better than I expected them. That was a very impressive win on Tuesday night. Not
Josh Allen special.
Night.
He's really special. Like I think he can overshadow a lot of deficiencies.
And it's nice that they're finally, I know it took
their rush game's good.
Joe Brady to come in to get their running game going. But it's good that they're fine. Like, I mean, the first few years that they had they had this kind of rushing game in 2020 or 2021, they might have beaten the Chiefs those years.
Yeah, James Cook was outstanding last week. I like Ray Davis too. Like what they're doing. Like they're just. I think they changed their identity, but they're doing it in a league. I think that is, like we've mentioned earlier, where I think it is transitioning like back to the center of the run versus pass debate, where I think a lot of defenses have adjusted to pass heavy attacks, and I think the Buffalo Bills have kind of moved in a direction where they can continue to score points very efficiently. So yeah, we both like Buffalo in this game. Last game. Washington, I think I mentioned at the start of the podcast, they were the first team or the second team in NFL history to win a game by not kick. They didn't score a touchdown, and they gave up 3 touchdowns, but didn't score any touchdowns and still won. So that game to me against the Giants, I don't even look at it as a win. That was about the ugliest possible win you could come up with. Like, they were not good offensively. This is a get-right game. The Bengals are an 0-2 team, but they took Kansas City to
the wire.
To the wire.
They had them.
I was impressed by Cincinnati, and
that was a back against the wall game, and they did show something.
I already respect Joe Burrow tremendously. I think he is gonna have a big year. I really I watched that game. It's like that. I've never seen Joe Burrow has swag. I've never seen him play with fire before. Like, where he is he's pissed off. Did you notice that?
Yes.
Joe Burrow has been cool. He's always the guy that, smoking the cigar at the end of the national championship. Everybody loves Joe Burrow. He's, like I said, he's cool. But the end of that, you could see he wants to beat the Chiefs, and he wants to, I think, establish himself at the top of the pecking order in the NFL now. And you can kind of see it. And I think this is a game where the Bengals establish themselves. They wake everybody up. I was not high on the Bengals to start the season, but that week 2 performance.
They have started 0-2 under Zach Taylor 5 of the 6 years that he's been in Cincinnati. So this is not unfamiliar territory for them.
Which is frustrating to tell a Bengals fan, because it's if you would start faster, imagine what your teams could look like.
Yeah, and maybe we're hosting an AFC Championship game.
And they're a team that's had health issues before, later in the season.
Yeah.
It's if you had just taken care of some of your business earlier in the season, maybe you could have, I'm not saying Burrow could have made it back last year, but they had early season struggles last year.
You never know. If
they get some of their players back, maybe they sneak into a wild card spot and Joe Burrow comes back for a playoff game. I don't know.
Right.
But all the 0-2 comments aside, to me, the Bengals are a much better team than the Commanders right now. It's funny to say this, but Jaden Daniels everybody should be talking about him having the same struggles as Caleb Williams and Bo Nix, but they're not going to, because he can hide behind his rushing stats.
Yeah.
But he has not been good as a passer either, which is not surprising because he's a rookie. This game, to me, Cincinnati, I'm going to take them 30-20.
I'm going to take Cincinnati 27-13. Yeah, I think despite losing, and it was a devastating loss for Cincinnati, I know that stung.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm sure they can find some solace in it that hey, who expected us to come in here and run the Chiefs like this, especially after losing to New England. So I think this is their chance. As you said, it's a get right game. I think they're going to be a little bit more. You get an extra day rest and you get to play at home. I think they're going to be a good bit better on Monday night.
That being said, if they somehow lose this game, then we're having the same conversation that we're going to have about Jacksonville.
Yes. Yeah.
With that, that's it for our week 3 preview. We will be back next Wednesday reviewing all the storylines from week 3 and then going into the week 4 preview.
Man, it goes quick.
Yeah. We're almost next week we'll be talking about how we're a quarter of the way through the season.
Yeah. We're going to be talking about it's October coming up this week or something.
That's when it gets good. Honestly, the best part of football season is when we start getting into the colder months. And we can, like you said, we can stop talking about the Panthers and the Giants. And we can focus.
Or we'll be talking about them. Are they going to take Carson back, or
we can just start watching the top 12 teams consistently, and then our favorite teams if they're not included in that list. But
I hope,
we'd love for them to be a part of those contending teams, but it doesn't happen every year. But with that, we will see y'all next week.
Never happens for me.